everybody, it's Tara Green, and I'm a bit late, but I'm bringing you the news about the very special, very galactic new moon, December 19th, 2 days before the winter solstice, with the sun and the moon together on the galactic center at 28 degrees and change, Sagittarius. Now, it's also a very special day if you've been following any space news. That 3i Atlas is at its closest point to the Earth. Of course, it's still hundreds of millions of miles away, but we're getting some buzz. I don't know if you've been following Stefan Burns, who's a geophysicist, who's also into dimensional stuff and a funky kind of astrology that he does, but he's very cool, and he explains all the things that are happening with the Schumann resonance and the electromagnetic fields, and it's all about frequency. And even though he says it's a comet, I believe that it's also especially a harbinger, which it is, from another galaxy, from before our own galaxy even existed, before our sun existed, before any of this existed. So to have a very rare, unique, 11 billion year old object come through our neighborhood and miss it and be precisely aligned with the galactic plane, which is on a tilt, and then to come closest to Earth on the new moon. So it's most visible. It's like, you know, I'm ready for my close-up now, and aligned with the galactic center is very, very important. It's very symbolic. Astrology is real. It's quantum physics, but it's also very symbolic. So here's the chart, actually, for the new moon, especially as we're in the, the gateway of the solstice. It's a very powerful time. So it's at 5:43 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and add 5 hours to that. It's the next day in Greenwich Mean Time. So what we've got here, you can see the astrology. I'm going to point out what's going on. So there's the sun and the moon. Galactic center is about 26, 27 degrees. So it is conjunct that. That is the big black hole that everybody got excited about. There's a big picture of it. It's where all the souls come and go. It is a wormhole, according to Mayan, who were ancient mathematicians, astronomers, very advanced civilization. I believe they were an alien civilization who brought all that mathematics to the Mayan people. So it's a very, very powerful point in space. Okay, now you can see the other aspects here. Uranus up here at 28 degrees of Taurus is in an inconjunct. You see the little green dotted line there to the sun and the moon. An inconjunct is when a planet is 5 signs away. You can see. So Sag, Cap, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, 5 signs away. Uranus is on Algol, the Medusa star, the last degree of Taurus almost, and in conjunct 150 degrees away from the sun and the moon. So they're not seeing each other. So the sun and the moon are in the blind spot of Uranus, or Uranus is in the blind spot of the sun and the moon. And then Jupiter, you can see that little line there means they're sextile. They're 2 signs apart. Taurus, Cancer, these are earth, water, feminine, yin, harmonious aspects, just like fire and air are. So Jupiter is also in conjunct to the sun and the moon. And we also have Juno there, my favorite goddess, the feminine form of Venus. She's there at 26 degrees, 25 to 26. And there's Venus as well. So this is a stellium, very powerful stellium. Venus, very feminine, in a very masculine, fire, spiritual, mystical, optimistic sign here. So Venus at 24, Juno at 26, sun and moon at 28, all making this thing here. So Jupiter is also invisible. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Interesting that it's invisible to all of those stellium of planets, Venus, Juno, the sun, and the moon, or vice versa. They can't see Jupiter, their ruling planet. Jupiter, the biggest planet. So it's interesting that Jupiter's making a blind spot, because it's not just that 3i Atlas is coming closest to the Earth. It's also that it's going to swing by Jupiter. I believe it's March 16th, 2026, but everybody kind of wants to watch out for that. So if 3i Atlas, and we can't, figure out where it is on this astrology chart, is creating this alternative frequencies, then we should be able to really feel it. And I don't know about you, I had a very unusual dream last night, and I talked to a friend of mine. She said also she had an unusual dream, and I woke up feeling really great, like really high vibration, really clear today for the first time in a long time. Because as you know, Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo have been going through it with Saturn especially for the last 2.5 years, and Neptune as well. Okay, so now to have the Sun and the Moon and Juno squaring Saturn and Neptune is a pretty heavy thing to have. Okay, so they are, not that squares are bad, squares is just pressure. So the pressure is to really see the bigger picture, which is what 3i Atlas is all about. You know, thinking about, it's here to make us humble. Okay, South Node is in Virgo. This is about humility. In the grand vast scheme of things, we are so small. And I just watched Avi Loeb, the scientist from Harvard that's been watching 3i Atlas. He was interviewed on Fox or whatever, and he said, you know, we're not that important. You know, maybe these big aliens, they don't give a crap about us. You know, we're just some minor little civilization here. Barely, who knows anything? So are they interested in us? Probably not. We're not that attractive. So we need to get humble. You know, South Node and Virgo is all about humility. What do you serve? Okay, now, so Neptune and Saturn, at, you know, Neptune at this very last degree of Pisces, the most karmic degree of the zodiac. Bob Dylan has his South Node here, so I want to say, I hope Bob Dylan survives, because he is under very, very heavy aspects as Saturn and Neptune pass through his South Node. That is a death signature, so I want to go on record here. I love Bob Dylan. I wrote a big article about him. You know, I hope he doesn't pass away between now and February 20th, or get seriously ill or something. So the square here, seeing the big picture, getting compassionate. It's all about forgiveness. We're all human beings here. That's Virgo. Very human. Virgo is the largest constellation. And Sagittarius is about the galactic human. Pisces is about the spiritual human. Jupiter in Cancer is about family, home, mothers, honoring the mothers, the women, the children. You know, this is the most misogynist peak time I think there ever was, to tell you the truth, in the world. And Jupiter's retrograde, of course. Uranus is retrograde, Chiron at 22. You notice the planets at 22. Chiron is also squaring Jupiter. Chiron, the wounded healer, which has been in Aries, been conjunct Aries, and had been in Aries for the last few years here. So again, this is a time of great wounding. You can see, even though it's out of sign, and I don't really like, sometimes Astro puts on their squares, their mathematical stuff. I don't really agree with it. But anyway, Pluto at 2 degrees now of Aquarius moving forward is squaring Chiron and Jupiter. Okay, it's a bit of a wide out of, you know, different sign square, but it's still there. The North Node at 11 degrees. So again, 11, 22, 22, if you're into that numerology, that's important. Mercury is in Sag as well. So we have this big fiery stellium, which I believe this is, you know, this is the last new moon of 2025. It's a little bit of a preview of the fiery energy that we're entering. Okay, now this chart is set for Washington, D.C. It's got Leo rising as well, more fire. The lot of fortune here is 18 Leo. Again, we have to get used to walking on fire, working with fire, firing up, being firebrands, being independent Aries people. We're all going to go into this Aries hyper speed, and then February 20th, 2026, and then the end of April 22nd, I believe it is, Uranus will re-enter Gemini and stay there for the next 7 years. So we're entering this fire and air element. Again, for people who have a lot of fire and air in their charts, it'll be a walk in the park. I have that signature. A lot of people who were born in the 80s with all the planets in Libra have that signature as well. But, you know, Librans, Aquarians, Geminis, this is their time, as well as Aries, Leo, and Sag. So all those masculine, aggressive, active signs, fire and air, coming into manifestation here, and especially Aquarius here, because the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction December 21st, 2020 was at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So again, we're just getting started in this mini Aquarian age. So Lilith at the 29th degree of Scorpio is also very, very powerful here, and she is trining Neptune and Saturn and Jupiter. So we need to really allow and bring up the scorn, the hatred, the fear of that dark feminine Lilith, the first woman archetype, manifesting so strong right now. So if anything, I see and I feel and I sense 3i Atlas is this harbinger of shift into a balance, into more normalcy. It's totally out of whack, you know, the way the divine feminine has been totally raped, dishonored. You can see that in real time. This has got to stop, you know, or we're going to be stopped. You know, there's the Galactic Federation. That's a kind of a spiritual organization that, you know, tries to keep things in order. I mean, there is free will, but at some point, if we're so out of balance, you know, we need to be checked. Now, Mercury is also squaring the nodes here. So again, Mercury and Sag, truth-telling time, honesty, being forthright. You know, don't be afraid to stick your foot in your mouth. That's the Sag trait. You know, I've got 3 planets in Sag. I've got my Mercury on this galactic center here, on this sun and the moon, and I really am putting out new intentions, positive intentions. I'm going to write on my blog about the degrees of this new moon and what that means for everybody, but it's a very powerful wish-fulfilling time, I would say. Neptune there, squaring the sun and the moon. You know, we are coming to the end of this year, the preview year, the appetizer year of the big changes that are really going to set in 2026. And we are on the cusp of the winter solstice as well, which arrives at 7:03 a.m. on the 21st in Pacific Standard Time and 10:03 a.m. On Eastern Standard Time and 3:03 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Now, I will go live on Sunday. I'm going to do some live tarot readings for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency on Facebook, on Meta, at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be 1 a.m. on the 22nd in Greenwich Mean Time. Cosmic Intelligence Agency is situated in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm in Toronto, Canada, so I just felt called to do this because I don't think the CIA is doing anything for it, and I feel like, you know, it's a big gateway, winter or summer solstice down under, of course. Now, if you have planets, of course, at these latter degrees, Sag, Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, you're very much getting hit by this new moon. So I would take time out, really meditate, really call in the galactic beings. I do galactic astrology. I've got the Shapley cluster there. Shapley cluster is the biggest known unknown that we know about at 2 degrees of Scorpio, squaring Pluto there. And also Neptune is sitting on a fixed star called Sheet. So the Sheet is really hitting the fan, folks, okay? Uranus is on Algol, the demon star. That's Medusa, okay? And again, we've got the galactic center here. We've got Mercury sitting on what's called the Great Attractor. I'm not going to go into them all, but anyway, you get the gist, okay? So if you want to get in touch with me, I have been sort of sick. We've been sick around the house here. There's a big cold flu going around here in Toronto. I am going to start doing more workshops again in 2026. If you want to have your 2026 really deep, in-depth dive into your astrology, get in touch with me at tarottarot.com and join me live on Sunday for a winter solstice tarot astrology celebration. You can see me waving in there. Okay, sending you all blessings.